Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new review for Around the Geek. This time we're doing Moonknight Episode 1, The Goldfish Problem. I'm Terrell, and today we got...
Sherelle Dominique.
Believe it or not, we've said that at least 6 times today. So we've all gone through the same issues as Moonknight. Sherelle, what did you think about Episode 1? And what did you think about Episode 1?
I think that Episode 1 for me was like, it should have came later or like in like the second episode, and then something should have been different for the first episode. But overall, like seeing like what'll be taking place throughout this series is, made up for it. The battle between Mark and Steven, and Mark taking over Steven, and Steven being tired and not knowing like what's happening to him. So I think the series is going to be great. But a lot of people won't really know how this will play into the MCU. So I think, looking forward, or looking ahead is like, okay, but where does he lie? But I guess like having this mini series, he can just show up at any time.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, we obviously had the privilege of getting the first 4 episodes, so we're only going to be able to talk about this first one. So you definitely this is the first show, like I said, where this doesn't feel like this is a part of the MCU. Like this feels like its own thing. And I said this with the review with Najir, like this definitely feels like if they would have just did this and they didn't have the Marvel brand on it, I would have just been like, oh, okay, this is cool. Cause it definitely doesn't feel so far connected to anything involving, the world of Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Captain America. And that's fine. And like I said, so far, the big thing I noticed too is like a lot of this is dark. Like, a lot of this show is dark. And that may be on purpose because we're dealing with, Mark or Steven, who is dealing with, consistently being in the dark, with this other personality he has of Mark Spector, and waking up feeling confused and, feeling it in the dark and like not knowing what's going on. And like I said, him, pretty much having this routine of, kind of checking his reality where, putting tape on the door and chaining himself to the bed because, he's having these dreams that feel like reality to him that he's able to see. What did you think about the, I guess, like the switching between him and Mark, or I guess like how they did the voices inside his head?
Oh, poor Steven.
Yeah. He's
like socially awkward. He's a nerd. He's just like really, really unsure of himself. And I think a lot of that has to do with like his disorder. He has like a personality disorder kind of thing from some kind of trauma that we don't know about. But it's so funny just like seeing how he, like how he talks to other people and communicates with other people, and even like his supervisor, like they have like a very awkward, strange dynamic. She's a bit annoying. Like she gets like super annoyed with him, but I think that part of that plays in the fact that like he doesn't remember a lot of things. He doesn't remember doing a lot of things. So I think he just like kind of wings his life a little bit. But with Mark, because we don't really see like we don't hear the voices right away, but we know that they come like towards the end of the episode. And then of course you have what's his name, Koshu or Koshan, whatever his name is, Gonshu. What's his name?
Khonshu, like Kon.
Yeah, I'm thinking like something in the animes or something, but yeah, then we hear his voice and it's like very loud and very booming, and it makes him, I think that's like the first voice that he hears. So it's just like the dynamic is just like weird with them being stuck in his head, and him trying to like navigate his daily life,
right,
and work his job too, because then it's like he's seeing things at work, and
yeah, the first time we see him kind of go through the switch, he kind of like wakes up in the middle of the field of like nowhere, and he's like, how the heck did I get here? You know what I mean? Like he wakes up as Steven and not Mark.
Right.
And we see like Mark had somewhat of control over this to the point where he was able to live his daily life. And we introduced to Ethan Hawke's character, who is worshiping this new god, or that's for this new god that is pretty much judging people by the on the scales of what they did in their life, and whatever, and it's pretty much taking away their lives, or whatever.
Yeah,
And I
it's
thought
like a
that was interesting, just seeing kind of like the god worship that they have established so far in this world of like superhumans and Thor and God, as a god and everything like that. So definitely get a different viewpoint of that type of worship they have going on. But we also see the violence that Mark is capable of when he switches over, because they definitely I feel like, not that they haven't killed people in the MCU before, but they definitely show bodies. And and the
it's
way
not.
they shoot this in the first episode is super cool, because it's just kind of like blackout, like it just switches, and Mark comes in and does his thing, pop pop pop, shoots everybody. What did you think about that, like the way they framed that?
I thought it was dope because it kind of reminds you of like a video game almost,
Right.
like with like this,
Cutting in.
just like it cutting in, cutting out, and of course it's like super deadly. It's really dope. I think the action is amazing. The fight scenes are cool. Him driving this cupcake van is
Was a
pretty
couple.
cool. Oh, the cupcake truck is like, it's pretty cool. I think the whole village scene where Steven is like, where the hell am I? Like, what's happening?
Right.
And then they're like trying to capture him. He don't have a clue what's happening, and then it's like that switching back and forth, and then you hear this booming God voice in your head telling you like what to do. So it's like really cool to see like that whole scene and like the whole like introduction to what the heck is happening to Steven.
Yeah, like I said, we pretty much, like he just wakes up and he has this scarab in his pocket that they're all. I mean, at some point they don't show it in this episode, but he's stolen it from wherever it was, and we find out later what the scarab is used for. Um, and then, like I said, we also get introduced to Layla in the episode,
Yeah.
who is Mark's wife. And she seems to believe that Steven just ghosted her for the last forever, and she's worried about where he was and where he was at. This show also does something too, like it gives it like a big like horror element to the show. The way it's framed, like a lot of the flashing lights, a lot of the dark scenes, like it's a lot of jump scares that go on during this. Did it get you a couple times? Like, do you feel like it?
It did, and I think too, like it's like because you made a point about it being like dark, and I think a part of that is like I think the majority of the movie is going to be filmed at like nighttime
Right.
because of course we need the darkness for the moon to come out. But I think that's what makes it so dark, and then it makes it a little bit like it gives it that horror aspect to it or horror aspect to it because it is dark and it's like at nighttime. So I think that helps make like the point of like what the show is, with it being filmed at night. So I think that is really cool, especially
Yeah.
if you're stuck in the museum in the dark at night.
Like you said, we do hear Conchu in the episode, and I swear I thought it was Venom for a second. This is like the second character. I'm not even going to say Venom's in the MCU, but he's kind of sort of is now. But it's the second character that's being not necessarily being taken over, but they live in the same body.
Mhm.
And then whereas though like Venom and Eddie are occupying the same thing, like Mark and Steven are so drastically different from voice, and you notice how he changes like the body language, the way he stands, the way stuff like that in the episode. And as we get towards the end of this, you see Steven looking in the mirror, which seems to be like the only way to like really kind of communicate with his other half, and pretty much Mark telling him to give him control of the body.
Yep.
And then of course in the episode we see him don the armor for the first time. Conchu's protection, his armor. What you think about the transformation in this first episode, and this whole chase down of what he's fighting?
Oh yeah, with this beast that the cameras can't see. Yeah, that was like the that was like leading up to the end of the episode where we see the actual Moonknight costume. But um it's like really funny because uh with like him running through this museum, running from this beast that was conjured up, it's funny because it's like, how is he going to like survive this? And of course he has to communicate with Mark because Mark's the only one that can even handle this situation. He's
Right.
familiar with what's happening, and Steven, I think he's also learning how to transition from Mark taking over physically or while he's conscious, because most of the time Mark takes over when he's unconscious.
Right.
So I think the dynamic of that is like really unfamiliar to Steven. So seeing, just kind of seeing like how that whole scene plays out with the bathroom and him fighting, but then also hearing Steven, his commentary during the ordeal is like funny.
Yeah, it's definitely hilarious. I mean, the show isn't like completely void of humor. They definitely try to make a lot of like, moments out of this thing. And something I was saying with Nigeria is that they definitely handle this kind of like personality disorder not disrespectfully, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's also comics too. So it's also a bit of like whatever.
Slightly.
Yeah. Because I know that was a big thing for the movie Split. We're like, oh, so but I don't think, I think they definitely handled this in a proper fashion in this movie, especially like as you see more episodes going on. But it does, they don't feel like this is disrespectful to that anybody that may have those conditions or anything like that.
Right.
In the way it's handled. Overall, I am looking forward to seeing where this show goes and what they do. Definitely seeing, this is a part of the MCU, and hopefully we get some team ups in the future with potential Moon Knight, but we'll see. And like I said, like definitely see people get killed. The transformation into Moon Knight officially is super cool, even though he doesn't have a name. My only issue with this first episode is that it's very slow. You don't. It takes a while before you really get to like what the heck is going on. And like I said, that's just mainly because this isn't something that's already been established. Like like those other shows are from the movie, so they can't just jump in and be like, oh, this is what Mark's been doing 3 months later. So we
Right.
kind of jumping into Mark, and then so far we don't really, they don't do an origin story. Mark and Steven is already like an established thing, like so he already has the ability, the powers and stuff like that. So we don't see
Mm-hmm.
it the first time where
Right.
Mark or Steven get the ability, or where Khonshu takes him over, or whatever the case may be, to give him these abilities. So but that was something that I was kind of hoping we got in the first episode, but he's already established that this has already been going on for a while. So
Right. And one of the things too that I had noticed is that Steven's actually the billionaire in the original comics, and
hmm,
clearly he's not the billionaire in this one. He's just like a regular average Joe guy.
there's
But
always a billionaire.
he have some things. Yeah. It would be kind of cool, pay your way out of trouble. But yeah, it's
Like
kind
that's
of
way
cool.
too similar to Batman, though. Like
Oh, and that's another thing too, that they were saying that Moon Knight is like the Marvel version of Batman, but
it's
it's
clear.
really, it's not the same, but
Yeah, it's a little bit more
whatever.
supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty good though. I think it's gonna be something that people look forward to every week. Like once they get through, based on what we've seen, once they get through like the first episode, I think it really picks up for people.
All right. Well, like I said, that was much as we can officially talk about on Moon Knight episode 1. We'll be back with episode 2 next week. And
Right.
hopefully me and Sherelle here, we can do this with zero issues and get you the
Girl,
full
that's the problem.
yeah. But that's it for us. Let us know what you think in the comments. Check us out at aroundthegeek.com and on our YouTube page as well. Make sure you subscribe. And like I said, we will catch you guys next week. See you.